In this video, we're taking on 5 oud fragrances from the designers that are all under $100. So these are clothing designers, jewelry designers, whatever. All designers that have ouds, and I consider these great, and they're all under $100. So we're going to count them down, coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Thank you for coming to watch this video because I've been wanting to do this one and it's been a while since I put out an inexpensive list. A lot of people are asking me to do some more designer reviews. Even though I prefer niche, there are lots of designer fragrances out there that I like. Not the stuff that I find at Macy's too much, but if you search around and stuff, there are hidden gems out there from the designers, and a lot of them can be found at the discounters for under $100. So a lot of these fragrances that I'm going to mention, there's also one honorable mention, but a lot of designer fragrances can be found on the discounters, as I was saying, but you have to do some testing to see which are good and, listen to reviews or read reviews, because some of the designer fragrances just never make it to the department stores. And what's really being pushed in the mass market is usually not the best, but there are some out there that you can find that are great as far as designer scents go. But these are all oud, focusing on the oud note, and I happen to love that note, woody, sometimes spicy, very Middle Eastern style. The very first time that I guess the popular fragrance came out that had the oud note in it is, of course, the Tom Ford creative directed YSL M7. And we have the new edition of it here on this list. So let's go ahead and get started. If you don't know oud, I guess do some research. It's a rare type of a wood, and it's been very popular in the Middle East for years until M7 came out in, I guess it's 2000 or 2001 is when it was launched. Not in the late 90s, definitely in the early 2000s. And that's when Tom Ford worked for YSL or Yves Saint Laurent for a year. I think they didn't like working together, the designer Yves and Tom. So later Tom started his own brand, of course, and he created multiple various oud fragrances, but he launched that oud M7 for YSL. But the honorable mention I was talking about is called Chopard Oud Malaki. This right here. So this one actually I found to be a really, really great oud. I left it off of the list because I can't find it anymore at the discounters. Notina was selling these for around $60. I've never seen them in department stores here in the States, but I've seen them in Europe. They sell them for suggested retail for around $200. So they're pricey. And if you can get it for around $60, $70, even for $100, it's a great price. And this is created by Dominique Ropion. It's considered a woody, spicy fragrance. And the notes here are tobacco, oud, spices, woody notes, ambergris, leather, grapefruit, lavender, and some tarragon. So it's a unique take on oud, very, very classy, very, very sophisticated, but it's a bummer I can't find a full bottle because this was sent to me by Mark, a subscriber, someone I know from Facebook. Thank you for doing that. And I really, really like it. And I wanted to get a full bottle, but now I can't find it, of course. But hopefully they'll bring it back. And that's why I left it off out of the top 5. So, but if you have tried it, I'm sure you agree it's a great release. And Chopard makes jewelry, of course. They're a famous jewelry designer. So that is the honorable mention, Chopard Oud Malaki. And now at number 5, we're going to the house of Jean Barbatos, and this is oud from Jean Barbatos. This is considered an oriental woody fragrance, and for notes you've got oud, incense, rose, tobacco, myrrh, leather, cinnamon, cardamom, black pepper, labdanum, juniper berries, nutmeg, a lot of stuff going on in here. And this one actually reminds me of other Jean Barbatos fragrances, maybe because it's created by Rodrigo Flores Roux. I don't know. But it kind of reminds me of other ones, like the later ones, the Dark Rebel and Dark Rebel Rider. There's some notes in there that kind of remind me of the other one. But I think for around $50 for a 120 ml bottle, I think it's totally worth it. I mean, 120 ml is definitely more than 100 ml, so you get 20 mls more, and you're getting it for around $50 because I found it on sale at some of the discounters online, and I recommend it. I mean, it's a unique take on oud. It's designer. It's still, you got the oud, and a lot of these notes are probably all synthetic. They're not really all natural anyway, but still, it's all about the smell anyway. So it's a pretty decent smell. For oud, there's a little bit of that rose and incense in the smoke. And then there's a little bit of that tobacco. And I think it's the tobacco that's reminding me of Dark Rebel, because the same perfumer, Rodrigo Flores Ru, worked on Dark Rebel as well. And there's a little bit of the leathery touch as well coming from the Dark Rebel rider. So again, it's a great release for around $45, $50, as you can find these for that much on the discounters, and snatch it up, because I don't know how long they'll have these for those prices and how long the fragrance actually will still be around at all. You know, they discontinue fragrances left and right. So anyway, a great release from John Varvatos. Performance is average. So, I mean, it's around 5.5 hours, maybe pushing 6 hours for this one, but still it's inexpensive, and so you can replenish, and you've got 20 mils extra in here compared to other designer releases. So John Varvatos Oud at number 5. Next up, we're going to the house of Ralph Lauren, and this is Polo Supreme Oud from Ralph Lauren. This is considered an oriental woody fragrance. This was created by Carlos Banayem. And for notes, you've got oud, cinnamon, gaiac wood, pink pepper, and vetiver. So I really liked this when it first came out. It reminded me a little bit of oud wood with a cinnamony kick or cinnamony touch. Unfortunately, the performance is around 5 hours of this for this one. It's very short-lived, maybe sometimes even a little less than that too, because I overspray and it gets to be about 5 hours. But smell-wise, it's really, really great. I mean, it's a great scent, and I love the whole oud and cinnamon and gaiac wood creaminess together. So it loses its dustiness with that gaiac wood in here. But it smells great. It smells really, really great, and just I wish it performed a little better than it did. But anyway, it's still, you get it for cheap. It's around, I think I can find this for around 100, no, I'm sorry, not 100. It's a 120 ml bottle, just like the Varvatos, but I can find it for around $65, $70 at the discounter. Sometimes even less with additional discounts if you can find them. So look around. If you like oud wood, but you think it's too expensive, you bought decants or samples, check this one out. It's just like I said, it's got that extra cinnamony kick to it, which I like. I love cinnamon in fragrances. So oud and cinnamon, I think is a great touch or a great combo. And just remember that it's not the best performance, but you know what? You're getting a discounted fragrance for around $60, $70. Just replenish. Take yourself a little mini decant of it with you, spray it at home, and then take the decant and then replenish throughout the day, and you'll be fine. But I find this one to be a really great one, especially if you like oud wood with a little bit of cinnamon added to it. So Ralph Lauren's Polo Supreme Oud is at number 4. So next up, we're going to the house of Versace, and this is Pour Homme Oud Noir, this one right here. So now this one has been around for quite some time. In 2013, I think it was launched. Everybody was talking about it for a while. It was really, really popular. And I think it's a decent fragrance. It's considered an oriental woody. I don't find any nose information for this one. And there's, of course, for the notes, you've got oud, spices, woody notes, and leather. And this one, to me, has like a sandalwood / coffee kind of a vibe in the dry down. So it's lots of oud, of course. There's this like, maybe a little bit of like cardamom coffee, if that makes sense. So there's this like aromatic touch to it. And I'm reading the notes to you here on all these fragrances from Fragrantica, so I don't know how true they are, but so they should be correct. But there's the oud, but there's this like aromatic freshness about this one that it's like, it's just kind of like sparkles, if that makes sense, like really, really bright. So oud can be dark and dense, but that aromatic brightness kind of like, you know, makes it a little lighter, if that makes sense. So a great scent. It's pretty unique for a cheap designer release, because this you can pick up for around $50. So that is a great price for it. 100 ml. This is not 120, unfortunately, like the other ones, but still for $50 you can wear oud. And again, I probably think these are all synthetically made, the notes and everything, but still it smells wonderful, and I quite like it. I enjoy this one a lot. That's why it's at number 3. I had a hard time putting this list together. I knew that the Varvatos was definitely 5. I was going to put the Chopard up even forward if I still found it at the discounters. This one was definitely better than the Polo, but still they're almost tied. So We'll let you know what the next one is. But yeah, do check this one out if you haven't. This is Versace Pour Homme Oud Noir. It's a great designer oud and definitely under $100. So next up, we're going to the House of YSL, and here's that M7 Oud Absolu, as I was saying right here. So this is not the M7, the original that came out back in the early 2000s. And this is also not the like the first edition of Oud Absolu, because Oud Absolu used to have black all the way here, and down here you could see the bottle, the clearness. Now it's all clear, and this is a great price. I found this at FragranceNet for around $40, so that's a steal. Only thing is it's 75 mils, so kind of do the math with the mils compared to the others. This is Oriental Woody. The original, as I said, came out in the early 2000s, but this edition came out in 2011. So this is M7 Oud Absolu, and for notes you've got oud, patchouli, myrrh, orange, and labdanum. So this one I find to be very orangey, and a very easy to wear oud, and I think this is probably one of the easiest to wear ouds. That orange just brightens things up a lot. So there's a lot of orange in here. And it kind of does feel like orange, so it's not like a citrus where it could be tart. It's just a very soft, slightly sweet citrus fruit. Not so tart, as I said, or sour. But a pleasant oud, again, probably all synthetically made, but for $40, you can smell pretty unique, because they don't sell this at the in the department stores. Most department stores that I know around here, like Macy's and things like that, don't. And probably the high-end ones like Neiman's or places like that don't even sell this one. So you have to definitely get it online, unless you live in a city where they have like a unique perfume shop where they sell like rare things like this. But this is definitely an online purchase, and I would just go online anyway, because you're probably going to pay full retail if you go to a perfume shop. But online, as I said, is around $40. And a great release. I think it's a great one. To me, it's almost like very close to the original. Not quite, but almost. I think the orange is more amped up here with the M7 Oud Absolu. But still, great release. That's why at number 2. It's very easy to wear oud, and I recommend it to you guys. So check it out. M7 Oud Absolu, number 2. Last but not least, this is probably the most expensive one, as I can't find a lot of deals on this one, but I did find a tester for around $60 recently, and this is Gucci Intense Oud. Why is this at number 1? First of all, look at this. The juice, I'm hardly any in there. I bought this used, and I need to buy another one, so I saw testers going for around $60, but I also recently on Notino, I see it for $108. So if you get their 10% discount, definitely under $100, and I see it on eBay now for around $90 as well. So it's definitely under $100, but it's the priciest one out of all of them. And I find this to be a very great designer oud fragrance. So if you're just exploring designers and you don't want to break the bank, you want to keep it under $100, this is probably the best one out of all of them. I just love the way this smells. It's smoky, it's oudy and everything. It's considered an oriental. For notes, we've got incense, oud, olibanum, leather, woody notes, and amber. But great release for a designer. I think Gucci's kind of going back to their game of releasing great releases, as I hadn't worn Gucci fragrances for quite some time until I picked up this and a Gucci Intense Oud, where they're kind of like starting to get a little bolder with their releases and not be very wimpy. This is created by Aurélien Guichard, a perfumer. And as you can see, I've got hardly any left in here. I gotta get another bottle, so I'll take advantage of a deal soon. A wonderful release. That's why I put it at number 1. I think it's very classy. This came out in 2016, so it's been like just a year or so, but I know it's like one of the most popular designer oud fragrances in the community. So there you have it. Gucci Intense Oud at number 1. What do you think this list? Do you like this list? Do you have any other designer oud fragrances that you like? I know oud wood is very popular, but I didn't put it in here because it's not part of the cheapy, kind of like you can't find it for under $100, but it's very popular. But if you know of any other designer oud fragrances that I didn't list here, I didn't mention, let me know what they are, because I'm curious to try if you can find any designers. These are all designers, guys. No niche brands here. So let me know, and so we can get a conversation. Put down what your favorite oud fragrances are, cheap or inexpensive. I'd like to find out. Other than that, guys, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.